Kenyans who are in India, furthering their education, getting to know how things are, how their studies are coming along, and what the actual situation is on the ground. All our guests are joining us via Zoom, different states in India. And right now, I just want to introduce our next guest. This is Gideon Mwendwa, who is a student at the National Forensic Sciences University, undertaking his master's in digital forensic and information security. Good morning, Gideon.
Good morning. Habari ya 254.
254 tuko salama. Pengine wewe waendelea vipi?
Mimi ni Bojonjo na Miss Ubosoma.
Yeah. Soon coming, soon coming. Maybe you could tell us how things are, how your studies coming along given the COVID situation in the country?
Thank you for having me. I am Gideon, as you said, from a National Police Service officer at Gujarat Forensic Science University in Gujarat State. The situation here is that the confirmed cases are 524,725. The active cases are 127,840. The deaths are 56. And we have a recovered number, which is 390,229. Where I'm staying, that is Gatinagar city. We have 78 active cases, 7 deaths, 20 have recovered, and the cases which are active at 51. What I can say is, yes, we have what is being evicted out is there, that is, we have a lot of cases in India. Not knowing that the number is so big, and India has 28 states compared to Kenya. India is a very big country, unlike Kenya. Then, about the cities, you can see most of the affected cities, most of the affected places are the big cities like Mumbai, Delhi, and the city at my place, that is Ahmedabad, which has an active number, which I've said, that is 390,229. Then you would accept that the numbers which have been given compared to what we are seeing outside there, it is not the actual number.
All right. Now, I'd like to understand in regards to your studies. I understand in some states, of course, physical learning has been halted, but there's some who are continuing with online studying. Is that the same case with your school?
Yes, the National Forensic Science University is taking virtual classes currently. All the Indian students were sent home. It's only that the African, all the international students who are in campus, and we are inside our residence.
Okay. What was the situation for those who were not living within the school premises, the hostels, and they were part of the international community?
They are still quarantined at their places. They stay indoors. If someone wants to go maybe to the market, we'll mask up, social distance, keep safe.
Those are the measures that were required of you?
Yes. Even in the campus, and the international students at their hostels, they are keeping safe. Classes are online, so people are taking care of themselves. Actually, Kenya needs us. We want to come back safe.
All right. Now, just stay with us. We'll be coming back to you to just further understand what is happening where you are as we get to queue up our next guest, that is Samuel Mandela, who is an IT lead at IAC Raise and also taking his studies in data science and business analytics. As you have heard, different states have different figures, and of course the major cities are the ones that are most affected. But let's just get to speak with Samuel. Hi Samuel, how are you doing today?
Good morning, Jane. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you. Maybe you could start by helping us understand the situation in your school, and more so looking at the international students who were not even residing within the school prior to the pandemic.
Okay, great. It's great I'm looking at many of my colleagues have spoken, but I echo the words. One thing that is sure is that India is a large country with a very big population. And personally, I've been actually looking at the statistics on a project level, my thesis is based on COVID data. And looking at the numbers, and just comparatively, just mentioning a few facts, you discover that the actual infection rate in India is less than 0.1, up to date from 0.1%. Like if you compare the 18 million of total infected cases to the actual population of 1.4 billion, that's a very small percentage. On a wider scale, as someone mentioned, India's population is almost like the whole of Africa. So it's true there is a lot of cases from one single country, but one single massive country. That's what comes out clearly. Coming to my state where I'm staying currently, I'm in South India, that's Tamil Nadu. Yeah, we've had one of the highest states, I think, among the top 5 or 7, I'm not sure about the ranking, with around 1.1 million cases so far. But out of this, I think the recoveries are way above 1 million. Yeah. So the active case will be around 1 lakh is 100,000. With around 100,000 or so. In my specific district, I'm in Coimbatore City. The thing that has come out clearly in this second wave is that the numbers are really high. We are having about 660 cases a day in this city compared to last year. A similar time we were having about 60 cases. That's like 10 times more. It is like the same state across all states in India. So with this second wave, you can say the numbers have really spiked. Even when I was looking at the graphs and handling the data, and it was flat this way, but then I keep going up this way. So it's really an alarming rate. But yes, the numbers are there and they are going high. But the good thing is that we are taking precaution and Kenyans are safe. I can say Kenyans are safe. Coming to the international community here in India, personally, I live in an apartment where it's full of international people from all countries, around 15 or so countries in the same place. And it's like a gated community, I can say so. We live together, we play together, we work together and everything. So we're taking all the measures available. But in the general Indian public, I think there's that notion that was there, like COVID is defeated actually like 2 months back. Everything had gone back to normal, but when this second wave came, I think now the fear is coming back and people are take precaution. Even the place I work currently, people are a bit careless. I'll say people are a bit careless in January and February and starting of March. But when this second wave started coming and the numbers started coming back, they started coming back, I think now precautions are started being taken again. At least in my office, everyone has to put on a mask and everything has to. If you don't, I think there are some someone and some fine people will come.
Are there some unique challenges that came along with this second wave that we are seeing as a global population that you feel were not as harsh or were not there during the first wave?
Unique challenges, one I would say, I'm tempted to go the business line because I work in a business setting. Businesses had kind of like gone into restocking and reinvestment, and people had thought coming, we are going back. Like even if you had our Prime Minister Narendra, he had some earlier this year he had mentioned things like India is defeating COVID and it's going to be a free state soon. So people had relaxed and business were still booming, investments were coming up everywhere. But then again, the second wave hits and with all those things, so yeah, it was affected badly, things are not so good. And that's one challenge. In terms of academics, most of us actually, I think in this call, we are final year students. We are expecting to finish college within this month, but some of us have been rescheduled, for example, maybe until next month of such cases. So it's a small challenge that comes in with that situation because some of us have to take practical exams, which are physical, so we have to wait until there is no lockdown for us to work. Also, like I said, some states are experiencing partial lockdown, others are having some very stringent measures about roaming around. So it becomes a bit a challenge for some people who are used to a free lifestyle, I would say.
All right. And what are some of those containment measures that have been put in place or reinstated?
Yeah, one sure thing that has been put, although this depends on the state, different states have different measures. But I think it's common among all states that those evening lockdowns from some start at 6 p.m., but most start at 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. in the morning, no movement around. And actually, you can see in some states, people rushing and gets around that time, running away from police and all those states. So there's that containment, no movement. But during the day, I would say life is almost as normal as long as you have a mask. There are fines if you are found without wearing a mask in some cities and some states. But business is going on, but not as active as before. But yeah, during the day, life goes on as normal. Only that what are they called? The basic services, talk of not basic, but those extra that when you talk of movie theaters, talk of sporting activities, talk of school, churches, most all of those have been closed down in many states. So at the present moment, all those things have gone virtual.
Okay, and what are you guys doing as a community to just make sure that you are in contact with each other and consequently also in touch with the embassy to ensure that you get up-to-date information with what the embassy needs from you guys and maybe how they can be able to step in?
Oh, great, yeah. I think actually I've seen a different brotherhood in the recent few weeks in our social media platforms. They were very dormant and playing back, but now I see people interacting, people checking on each other. There's constant requests for us to update the embassy about present locations and in case of any cases, like if you feel any symptoms. And also, as an international community, I think we have those platforms where we at least meet up frequently and talk and just get to know about each other. And for those of us who live in a place where we meet so many foreigners, at least you have a family kind of set up at the present moment. So it actually feels good to have those back. But never to bring it back, I think what we just maybe need to put across is for Kenya. Kenya Airways prices are very high for coming back home. Sometimes some of us may want to fly back home and Kenya Airways gives us a plane, but they are saying it's 80,000 Indian rupees, somewhere close to 120,000 Kenyan shillings for a flight. And then people need to check out just to mention some flight fees. But yes, we are trying to be that brotherly to everyone, check on each other. They are normal, simple things, but they mean a lot, especially if you're in a foreign country.
All right, stay with us. So continue staying with us. We'll be touching base with you once again. As now, let's just get to pin our next guest, that is Charles Momo, who will be joining us in a bit. Let me just see. Yes, we want to speak with Charles Momo, who is a student at the National Institute of Technology, Silchar. Again, forgive me for butchering some of these pronunciations. He will be giving us the proper pronunciation, who is taking his studies in electronics and communication engineering. Charles, how are you today?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. I'm fine. Thank you.
Awesome. Maybe you could start by telling us how things are in your school in terms of studies. We understand physical classes have been halted. Some institutions have had to even pause online studying. What is the situation in your school?
Okay, after the all offline class was suspended last year, we started online classes from April last year, and we have had online classes up to now.
All right. And in regards to communication from within the school and especially to the international students lot, and especially those who are not even residing within the schools, what communication has been given to you guys from the school in terms of how they want to make sure you are keeping safe and they actually know where you are?
Okay, ma'am. First of all of us stay in the hostels.
Okay.
And again, we are not allowed to leave the campus. We are only allowed to stay in the hostels, no going out. And for any kind of communication, we use mails and WhatsApp messages. We have a WhatsApp group and other messages are shared through email.
Now, what other containment measures have been put in place, especially within your state that you are in? I understand you are in Assam. Aside from the restricted movement, which other containment measures have been put in place?
Okay, ma'am, we have a night curfew starting from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. And again, for places of worship, only maximum of 25 people allowed. For final rites, a maximum of 20 people. And all other like business places, they have to close by 6 p.m. All kind of shops except medical shops.
All right. Now, in regards to communication from the embassy, is this something that you guys have already received, or you are yet to get that through your schools or with the groups that you guys have formed through WhatsApp?
We got some communication last week, but this was only for like obtaining our details. We were supposed to send our details to the High Commission of Kenya Daily, but anything else, like we have not got any other communication from them. It's only that they wanted to get our details only.
All right. And are there any challenges that you feel are unique to you as part of the international community that may not be as, resonating with the rest of the population and especially with this second wave?
Not really.
Not really.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for that. Just stay with us. Do not leave the Zoom. We'll be back with you in a bit. We now want to speak with Bernard Ottotta, who is a master's student at Kursheta University, undertaking his master's in chemistry. Bernard, how are you doing today?
Good. I'm doing fine, Jen. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us today. Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, I was saying that I'm in Haryana state, and as you know, Jen, Haryana is just 200 kilometers from Delhi, where the virus has hit very hard. Here in Delhi, you realize that each state has what we call micro containment measures. That each state, like Haryana, for instance, you realize that Haryana has some containment measures, like shops are supposed to close at 6, universities, colleges are closed, except those ones that are taking the medical courses. Because earlier yesterday we had the health minister of Haryana trying to find out how many medical students do we have in the state, so that in case there is a surge of the cases, it can be contained. And as you realize, Jane, India is having a large population, and most of the people are asymptomatic, and you can't be able to know until some other time, because you realize that with the population and people being asymptomatic, that is likely to at least enhance the spreading of the virus.
All right.
But for us
I'd like to just interject at that particular point, because that is one of the areas of concern that we have been seeing, even from Kenya here, looking at the behavior from the people. But just stay with us a bit, Bernard. We'll be coming back to you. Okay. And this actually brings us to the information that is out there when it comes to how we as a people are carrying ourselves during this COVID time. Because looking at the information that was put out on the Worldometer website in regards to what the experts had to say about the situation in India, is that this second wave of infection has become worse because of the behavior among the population. There had been so many festivals that have been going on. It was business as usual, and the fact that, you know, just from what Bernard is saying, that there are a huge population that could be or are asymptomatic, and that has actually contributed to the further spreading of this particular disease. And that is why we would also want to always remind you, just because you have been vaccinated, because that is also another reason as to why people are dropping their sense of God, is because they have been vaccinated. Just because you have been vaccinated does not mean that you cannot contract the virus, and it cannot be severe just because you've been vaccinated. So people behavior is another reason as to why or rather one reason that the experts are saying has contributed to this high rate of infection that we have been seeing in India. And we just want to further get clarification in regards to that. I understand so many festivals have been happening. Social distancing has proven to be a huge problem considering the huge population that is in India. So let's just get back to Bernard, who once again, he's a student taking his master's in chemistry. So just picking up from where you are, Bernard, in regards to the role that the people have had to play when it comes to the further spreading of COVID-19, and especially looking at this second wave of infection.
What I'll say is you realize that with the large population and people being asymptomatic, there's a lot of movement. And when there's a lot of movement, there's that spreading of the virus. So by the time, and sometimes you realize, Jen, that with the testing isn't done, let's say, immediately. So it has to take some time. You can go get tested, you wait for results for some few days. And at that time you are asymptomatic, you don't have the signs, so you assume that you are COVID-19 free. So once you move in party gatherings, you are going to the market, you are going many places, interacting with so many people. So you realize that the virus will spread at a very high rate.
And what are some of those containment measures that have been put in place where you are?
Yeah, in Haryana we have the curfews, we have the closure of the universities. They have banned the public gatherings. There's no gatherings, and some of the measures like oxygen. Yesterday, the health minister was saying that they are sourcing oxygen tanks so that they have a very large reservoir for the oxygen. Just in case they have a high number of infections, they can be able to contain it. And he was speaking that he's having some more beds being made up, more doctors being sourced from inside the state, outside or outside the country, so that in case there's a high increase in number of the COVID-19 people, they can be able to contain. Because you realize that Haryana and Delhi is just some few miles away. So most likely the surge of the cases can be very much higher with time.
All right. Now, we have been seeing a lot of misinformation, and especially on the social media platforms in regards to what is happening, and consequently sending a lot of, frustration and fear to your relatives and your family back here at home. But to just give a sense of reassurance that you are okay where you are and things are not as bad as what we are seeing in social media, what would you like to say to your family, friends, relatives, and the rest of the Kenyans back here at home?
Yeah, what I was saying is that you realize that in media we have what we call people are looking for views, and sometimes when you are getting information to the people, you have to give a clear and authenticated information. Sometimes you realize that some of the clips that have been going on around the social media platforms, some of them are not true. Some of them are from movies. Some of them are from previous years when the COVID-19 had not started. So as media people, when you are laying the information, stop disseminating the fear to the people. Because we understand the situation here is a little bit, let's say, not that worse, as I'll say, but let's learn to give the correct and right information to the end viewers. Because when you give the wrong information, our viewers, our families, our friends, they are getting worried. Like for me, I've been getting so many messages in WhatsApp, in Facebook, in Instagram, asking me, how are you doing? I want to tell you, Jen, I'm doing fine. And this state is very minimal. The number of infections are very, very much lower as compared to the other states like Delhi and the Mumbai cities. We are trying to manage.
All right, thank you so much for that. Just reassuring your family who are watching us this morning that you are okay. And we also just like to hear from the rest of our guests who are joining us via Zoom. As we get to close this conversation, your message of reassurance to your family who are watching you back here and the rest of the population here, and maybe your word of advice in terms of what we can carry on as a people here to stem the further spread of COVID-19. And I'd like to get back to Laura Nayere. Maybe Laura, just your message to your family who could be worried, of course, due to what we are seeing on mainstream and social media, and what lessons we as a people here back home can take on to curb the further spreading of COVID-19.
Okay, thank you, Jen. I want to tell my family, my friends back at home that I'm safe, nothing alarming. Just like Ben has said, Ben is my colleague here at the university. We have received so many messages in WhatsApp, and I think this comes from how the media is reporting. Sometimes even the kind of headlines that you put across, it's so alarming to them. So I just want to tell them that I'm safe, I'm okay, I'm taking all the measures. Now here in India, it's not like maybe in Kenya where one day you'll go out without a mask or not. Even here in hostels, we are working with a mask. It's not even an option, not a choice, it's a must. So just want to tell you that I'm safe. Back at home, please keep safe also. This is not happening in India only. In Kenya, it's not that that COVID-19 is not there. Please keep safe. If you're not supposed to go out, please keep indoors. Wear mask if it's possible. Even if you can wear two, please do. Always, always, always keep safe and sanitize. Yeah, that's all. But for me, I'm safe, and I'm really, really trying to just be calm. Everything here, it brings a lot of anxiety. We are away from home, but you're trying to be calm so that you cannot alarm even the people at home. So you're safe and take care also.
All right, thank you so much for that. We're glad to know that you are safe. Keep it that way. We hope to see you soon. All right, let's now go to Isaac Shisia Ongoma to just get your final remarks in regards to your message to the fellow Kenyans and maybe lessons that you feel we need to hold near and dear as we journey through these COVID times.
Okay, thank you, Jen. I was earlier on disconnected due to the issue with the network. But just to complete the earlier part, it was like as a state, there's measures that have already been taken, and one of it being the putting up a total lockdown actually. So most of us have been contained in our hostel. We have an international hostel which actually houses most of the international students across the world. And within the hostel, everyone is allowed to prepare their own meals. You have your own gas and everything, the fridge, where you can store your own food. If you need any other groceries, you can make them. You can make orders online. And we are taking all precautions, putting on the mask, washing our hands every particular time, reducing the movements with outside, because actually India is crowded. That is a fact. And as well, there are people outside there who are also not putting on masks. So if you happen to move outside the hostel or outside the university, you are able to increase the risk of exposure. And also the buses, they're also crowded. So the most important thing as we as the international students, what we do, we normally stay within our hostel. So if in case we want to make any arrangement to go out, we hire taxis as well. And they are able to pick us right away from the hostel. And as a state also, there are activities that are actually being prohibited, some of them being the schools. So we're actually doing the online schools, colleges, institutions, and gyms, cinema halls, they have all been locked down. And the government is very serious about this, about the lockdown. So about my family, actually I've received a number of messages, and many of them, they are texting to know whether I'm fine, and many of them, they're sending messages on Facebook, they're sending me messages on other social platforms, and they're asking like, guys, man, we've been able to see this and this and this, is this true? And my message is always clear, that I'm actually safe, very much okay. I'm taking all necessary precautions. Because within the university, I've been able to handle several microorganisms as a biotechnologist. So I understand at the extent of which you can be exposed to a virus. So what I can tell them is that they should be calm. I'm actually taking all precautions to complete my MSc. So probably by around August, we'll get back to Kenya and we'll be reunited again with the family. Otherwise, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to actually correct what has actually been in the public. Because Kenya, there's a lot of fear. I've seen it on Twitter, I've seen it on Facebook, I've seen it on Instagram. The situation is actually devastating. But that does not warrant to instill fear in the Kenyans, because our parents, they are worried, our families, they are worried as well. But we are mature enough, we are able to contain ourselves.
All right, thank you for that. Your clarion call to the rest of the population. Here you are doing good, and thank you for setting the record straight. Guys, don't go anywhere. We want to take a very quick breather. We'll be right back to get your closing remarks in regards to this conversation. So stay with us, even you who is watching us right here in Kenya.